help you to pay that. Okay. Well, at this time, Dr. Keller Price, I'm going to turn it over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I am Dr. Keller Price. I am the CEO of Price Consulting Group. As far as ABWA goes, I am your current District 2 Vice President. So I am helping advise and mentor your formation team as they embark on this amazing journey. I'm also a 20+ year member of ABWA. I belong to 2 leagues in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro where I live. The Outlook Positive Express Network, otherwise known as Open, and the Charisma Charter Chapter. I'm very happy to be here to support you all and give you some education in our program today. When is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When is the next best time to plant a tree? Right now. The same thing goes with recruiting and working with establishing a brand in the environment, the city that you live in your community. It's best to start like 20 years ago, but if you haven't started or you have a new business, the best time is absolutely right now. We see a big change in the recruiting and the employment landscape since COVID, and finding and attracting the right talent for your organization is so important. This is going to be an interactive session, so get your cell phones ready because we do have some polls embedded into today's presentation. How do we retain our top performers? Pay competitive salaries? Appreciate their work, load them with work so they have no time to apply elsewhere. Well, some of these could be effective strategies in terms of competitive salaries and appreciating your employees, but you have to have more strategy and planning for effective recruitment. So we are going to dive into the session today, and I'd like to know, what type of business are you, to get a feel for the landscape of who is in the presentation today. So get out your phone and you're going to send a message to the number 37607. And in the body of the text message, you're going to type my name, Keller Price, with no spaces. And that will join you into our session today. And then you'll get a confirmation that you've joined the session. And then you can identify what type of business or organization. Are you an entrepreneur and work for yourself? Do you work for another company? Are you in the nonprofit landscape? Are you a student here to learn, or none of the above? If you have more than one selection that applies to you, you can vote more than once, but you have to enter each selection and send it before you plug in another option. If anyone's having trouble with the options or getting set up, please send me a message in the chat. We see some more votes coming in. All right.
I'm having to get signed up for the polleverywhere.com.
Yeah, you can either go on your, if you're on your desktop, you go to pollev.com/Keller Price to set up for the event. We'll give her another minute to get that set up. So regardless of whether you are an entrepreneur, you work for a company, you work for a nonprofit, you want to learn, maybe you want to recruit and attract new members to ABWA, regardless of where you're at, you can utilize the information in today's session to help you in your organization. As I mentioned earlier, I am Dr. Kella Price. I'm an author, speaker, and trainer. I have my company, Price Consulting Group, and my background for the last 20 years has been in HR, not only in the retail and restaurant sectors, but also as a consultant for a variety of businesses, from the government sector to small business entrepreneurs and large Fortune 500 companies. Feel free to scan this QR code, get out your phone and get your camera, hold it up to your screen, and it will populate a electronic card that looks like this. And then you'll just hit save and you'll be able to save all of my contact information. So when LaToya mentioned earlier that I am here to connect with you, I really am here to connect with you, and I'm sharing all of my personal information in this card, my phone number, my email address, as well as my website and mailing address information. So feel free to contact me at any time should you have any questions about this program, about ABWA, or just want to chat. During this session, I encourage you to share what you're learning on social media. If something resonates with you, take a picture of the slide, tag me at Kella Price Author or at the Price Consulting Group in Facebook, hashtag ABWA. LaToya, do you have a specific hashtag that you're using for your league that they can also include?
Not yet, we don't.
Okay, the hashtag ABWA is a great one. You could also use
Okay.
hashtag Shreveport, since that's your city, and that will help populate some of the information within your community and allow you to share some of our learnings today.
Okay.
So now I'd like for you to share with me, what do you want to learn about today? Going back to your text or your desktop for Poll EV, go ahead and type in whatever it is that you came to learn about in today's session, so I can see what kind of content we need to make sure we cover. So as you type in your responses, you'll see they're going to create a word cloud on our slide. Recruiting strategy, recruiting members, keeping people motivated, effective strategy. As people are adding things, if they have the same response, the word will actually get larger on the screen. Recruiting members, hiring, training, motivated. These are some great nuggets.
My phone just keeps saying that it's waiting for your presentation to start.
Are you able to do it on your phone, Tracy, with a text?
That is my phone.
Oh.
It says waiting for Kella Price's presentation to begin. It says you're underway, but just tells me to stay put. It let me answer the poll. But then now
it let you in, but you can't see my event.
Yeah, it said it let me do the poll, the ABC or whatever. And then when I went for this to come up, it just says it's waiting for your presentation to begin. So I'm gonna log in on my other computer
Okay.
to
It
hold.
looks like other people are able to get in, so I'm not really sure. I see lots of other responses here.
Yeah, so I'll try just doing it online and see.
All right. So some of our learning objectives today, we want to understand the demands
There
and
we go.
characteristics of the workforce as it relates to attracting and recruiting talent, regardless of where you're at in whatever industry, creating more effective strategies for attracting top talent, and implementing strategies for improved recruiting and company employment brand. So in order to understand who we are trying to recruit and attract, our upcoming generations in the workplace, let's take a look and see how the generations split up and divide our current workplace. Starting at the very top at 12 o'clock, we have our traditionalists here. These are our oldest members of the workforce with the most experience. They're only 2% because these are individuals that are over 75 years of age. They're primarily in the workplace because they've had something happen that is either requiring them to work because they can't afford not to, or they're doing it purely for the social or enjoyment factor. Then we have our baby boomers. This is 24.9% of our workforce. A lot of these individuals are working towards retirement or transitioning to part-time or contractor work because they want to focus on enjoying all of the fruits of their efforts over the course of their career at this point. They want time off to spend with grandkids and to travel and do those types of things. Then we have Generation X, that's me. 32.8% of our workforce is our Generation X. Jumping over to our millennials. Notice the millennials are a larger piece of the pie and actually the largest piece of our workforce generation at 34.8% of the workforce. So if you don't have a good understanding of what millennials are looking for, pay close attention because this is the largest piece of your talent pool that we're looking to bring into organizations. Then we have our Generation Z, which is only currently 5%, but that is really going to explode over the next couple years. Those are individuals who are finishing up their college education, and so you'll see a big influx of them in the workforce in the next couple years. And then you have this little tiny unlabeled green slice here. That's our Generation Alpha. And there's not a percentage there because these are individuals that are around 13 years of age. And you might be scratching your head, 13 years of age, they're not in the workforce. Yes, they are. A lot of them are entrepreneurs. We're seeing a huge influx of an entrepreneurial spirit with these younger people that are creating businesses and making money. A lot of them, because they're entrepreneurs, the data isn't captured here, but we're still going to talk about them in today's presentation briefly. So let's talk about those three youngest groups because those are the ones that probably most of us are going to be focusing our recruiting efforts on because these are our future. This is the future of our workforce. And most of us probably don't fall into any of those generations either. The millennials are a product of their environment. They grew up with digital media. They experienced in their life 9/11, so they have a background or a sense of not only heroism and patriotism, but also terrorism and its impact on our country. They had very nurturing parents who were advocate for them and encourage them and tell them how awesome that they are special and valued, which is good, but we have to be aware of where someone comes from to understand kind of their thought process. They enjoy structure. They're a very multicultural group of individuals. They are connected 24/7. These are kids that have their phone, that don't turn their phone on do not disturb a lot. They have their phone with them 24/7, literally next to them on the bedside table when they're sleeping. They're into achievement and they value service. Then we have our Gen Z. My oldest son is Generation Z. This group identifies a lot with racial diversity because they are a very diverse group. They were born into a world of peak technological innovation. So whereas millennials didn't have iPads and things growing up, they were brought aware to and educated about technology in school as they aged. Generation Z had technology from a very young age. They value stability. There has been a lot of turmoil that they are impacted by in our culture, in our world today. So stability is really important. They have been impacted the most by mental health challenges. We see a lot of mental health issues with Generation Z. More people are being open about their mental health struggles. And unfortunately, that has plagued this particular group. They make informed purchasing decisions because they're connected to their technology. They will research things before they buy them. They're the most politically progressive generation to date. They are self-drivers, so they are they'll initiate things themselves to get things done. They deeply care about others. They're highly collaborative and social. They value flexibility, relevance, authenticity, and non-hierarchical leadership. This can be a challenge when you put a Gen Z individual in a workplace with someone who's a baby boomer who has 30 or 40 years of experience in the workplace and who has worked their way up the corporate ladder to work with someone who doesn't necessarily value that hierarchy. They're going to value someone who's knowledgeable and is willing to share information. This group is also very social minded. They want to serve and make a positive impact. Then we have Generation Alpha. Two of my kids are in this generation. I mentioned to you that this is a younger generation. They are, depending on what kind of research you may be, they'll have different years for each of the generations, but generally they are somewhere around tweens, 12, 13 years old. They are more than 2 billion, the largest generation in history. So thinking forward and planning, it's really important to understand what they're after in the workplace. And both of my sons, who happen to be in the picture on the right with another young teenage girl, they just got jobs this year. And it's interesting to see how they perceive things that are happening in the workplace and their work ethic. This particular generation, one of the biggest significant things that have happened to them is COVID. COVID made them more creative and more resilient. This particular group or generation also has a heightened awareness of the world around them. They're aware of social issues. They input, interact, and collaborate entirely through technology. If you've ever been to a function that has a lot of the younger generation, they might be sitting at the same tables across from each other, but they're communicating with each other on their phones in a lot of cases. I don't get it, but that's what they do. So understanding that as part of the way that they communicate. That being said, because they rely on a lot of technology-based communication, some of the soft skills are things that they might want to develop further. They are socially responsible. They also like to serve and make an impact in their community. they have huge purchase decision-making power. And you might be thinking, well, how can that be? Because they're tweens, right? They're not earning big paychecks, but their parents are, and their grandparents are, and those individuals listen to these children and what they're asking for. So they have a huge impact in the marketing and outreach in companies. And I mentioned already that they're huge entrepreneurs. Last summer, I went across Iowa and I went to a bunch of little towns and I encountered entrepreneurs, a little 10-year-old boy that was selling watermelon as an example, and he was saving up money to buy his first food truck. The kid was 10 years old. I also go to New York for Fashion Week, and I have witnessed designers that are teenagers who are presenting their fashions on the runway in New York as teenagers. So this generation really has a lot of talent that if you can connect with them and get them into your organization, it will be beneficial to you in the long run. The big companies are hiring all of the good engineering students as soon as they graduate. We need to start earlier. I want you to skulk around schoolyards and try to form relationships with kids who are nerdy loners. Offer them candy. Kids love candy. I don't see how this plan could go wrong. Well, while you're not, we're not suggesting that you lurk around playgrounds with candy. That's just a little creepy. We have to figure out strategies to engage with our younger population. Teach them the skills that they need to thrive in our workplace or our organization, and make that connection or establish that relationship so that when they are ready to seek employment or seek membership, you are the first place that they're going to go. So one of the strategies is to recruit and engage students. We can utilize opportunities to connect students with young professionals with mentors within our organization or association. We can connect them with development and learning opportunities. And one of those is listed on the slide, an internship. A lot of organizations can utilize summer internships to help students, give them an opportunity to experience what is involved in a particular occupation, what it's like in your company culture, and you get them to do something for you of value. We can provide financial support. Some organizations provide scholarships or money for ongoing school as a way to engage with students. I know when I was looking for one of my first salaried positions, that was something that I investigated with companies. How much money can I get for tuition reimbursement to go towards my advanced degrees? Demonstrate the value of your organization. Give them opportunities to learn, grow, and connect with your organization. And create incentives to apply after graduation, or if individuals have worked with you on an internship, utilize that as a pool for new hires. So give them a preferential treatment, perhaps when you're going through the hiring process, or keep in touch with them to notify them about upcoming opportunities with your organization. My ABWA chapter is actually spearheading a project. We actually have a high school intern who joined the association and is getting internship credit for serving on our board. So he's learning skills and he's working with us, giving us something of value, but he's also getting skills and course credit as well. So it's a win-win situation. So now I'd like to hear from you. What is your biggest recruitment challenge right now? Get your phone back out and find that text message thread. And if you have more than one challenge, certainly you can list more than one. Knowing where to look, commitment, getting qualified applicants, sponsorship, candidates. Does that mean finding candidates? I'm assuming. Whoever put sponsorship, could you unmute and tell us a little bit about what you mean there?
I put sponsorship because I know a lot of I requested for us to get the letter for the companies to sponsor the membership. I have yet to get that yet. But that is one thing that I know a lot of ladies were saying, that they companies will sponsor their membership. And I'm waiting on that letter to come from our national person. I reached out to her to get that letter. So that's one thing. And recruitment, well, no, I put just getting great candidates, like ladies who would like to commit to this organization mission.
So as far as the sponsorship goes, I wrote myself a note about that. When we're talking about either getting volunteers for nonprofits or members in an association, working with local employers to create that relationship and giving them the opportunity to connect with your group, but you also providing something to them like training opportunities or leadership development opportunities for their employees can be very attractive. So that's a great thing to look at and pursue. All right. So some of the things that we're going to look at in terms of key elements of finding and attracting talent, we want to make recruiting an ongoing process. We want our recruiting to be agile. We want to capture talent leads and nurture them through the entire process. We want to implement online resources effectively to help us in finding and attracting the talent, building our brand, getting referrals, and make data-driven decisions. So we're going to jump right in there. Recruiting is an ongoing process. It doesn't just happen when you have a need to fill. Now, if you are a volunteer organization or a professional association, you're always recruiting. And recruiting is everybody's job. It's not just an HR person in an organization, or it's not just a membership chair. It's everybody's function. In terms of interacting with someone, the interview should not be the first time you meet a prospective employee. And hopefully when you have individuals come to your meetings, you are engaging with them, but they've already interacted with you on other platforms. So they kind of have an idea about what your organization stands for before that initial meet. Good people are all around us. I tell people that you just have to look. There truly is qualified candidates in every aspect of our life. In terms of ABWA, a lot of times I cross promote membership with my Rotary affiliations, because good Rotarians make good ABWA members, and a lot of the things complement one another. So you never know where you're going to come across someone that could be good in your organization. Build relationships with them before they're looking for the job and before you need them. This helps establish that rapport. It helps speed up your selection process because you'll have some background knowledge and they'll be familiar with your organization. It becomes an easier process. Start engaging early. We already talked about engaging our younger individuals, Gen Z, Generation Alpha. Offer them scholarships, internships, educational curriculum to build those relationships with high school and college students. These are the future of our organizations and our professional associations. Pay special attention to those who are already in transition or are new to an area or the association. This is where we can create that engagement. Sometimes the local newspapers will have comings and goings. And so when individuals are coming into an area, sometimes they do a press release. This is great to engage them in a volunteer or professional association. You can reach out to them, congratulate them with a letter or offer to meet them, go to their organization. If you find that there's someone in transition, a lot of times when I'm on LinkedIn, I see individuals that I know talking about transitions in their career. This is a great time to reach out to them. I had a friend who used his LinkedIn connections. His job was eliminated and he had 30 days left on the job to wrap everything up. And he had a new role, which was considered a promotion purely through referrals of friends on his LinkedIn network. Because he sent out a note saying that his job was going to be eliminated and did anyone know of any positions? And entirely through that, he was able to find a new role, which is pretty incredible. Don't ignore technology. We have to understand that our future employees use technology. And so we have to be adept at using those technology and the social media to attract those younger generations. It's important to them. This is where you need to establish a presence where they are in order to attract them. If your association or your organization has no social media presence where the young professionals are hanging out on social media, the chance of them considering joining you are slim to none. So talk to young professionals that you know and see where they're hanging out, see what kind of platforms they're using. A lot of them are on TikTok and Instagram. A lot of them watch YouTube. Do you have a presence in these areas? We want to have agile recruitment, being quick to change, adapt, adjust, and also be speedy in our response from a variety of sources. Taking into consideration the diversity and inclusion piece. I mentioned that a lot of our younger generations are multicultural, they are racially diverse, and they want an association or an organization that looks like them, that accepts them for who they are. And so you have to make sure that your organization is cognizant of that and has that as part of their recruitment plan. Think about what events could you attend in the community to promote visibility for your employer or association brand. How can you attract the people that you want? The goal here is to reduce the time to fill roles in our organization. We want to nurture candidates, and one of the ways that we can do that is automate recruitment workflow communications. One of the easiest ways to do this would be an email campaign that when someone applies for a job, they get the standard "thank you for applying." Well, in a lot of cases, employers don't send you anything after that. Maybe you'll get a decline letter if you don't get offered an interview. But in most cases, it's crickets. Let's not have crickets. Let's establish a relationship with someone that wants to have a relationship with us. We could send a series of automated emails, maybe tips for presenting your best self, interview things, talking about your company culture. These can be short emails that you are helping this person get to know your organization, providing them valuable information about how to go through the employment process. This will help with that creation of that relationship. Build talent pipelines and targeted talent segments. What this means is that if you have a constant need for a particular position or role in your organization, let's say you own a hotel and you're constantly trying to hire housekeepers. You always need housekeepers, and you cannot get enough quality people. This would be a focused area that you would want to build a pool, an applicant pool that's ongoing of individuals for that particular area. Another example would be highly skilled jobs, which is very different from like a housekeeping example. Let's say you're looking for instructional technology designers, and that's a highly sought out job. They're in high demand and there's a low number of them in the overall employment pool. You can utilize a talent pipeline and try to get people into connecting with your organization to fill those jobs so that when they become open, you have individuals possibly ready. You can also utilize internal employment mobility to train employees for those particular areas. When I worked in retail management, we had what I called the management bench program, where we had individuals that were not officially supervisors or managers of a department, but they were identified as people that we felt that could be good supervisors or managers, that we wanted to prepare for those roles, because in retail, there is a relatively high turnover. It's a very demanding job. And so we provided these individuals with opportunities to take on some leadership, some accountability, get some training, and some responsibilities within the organization to give them a taste of what that management role would look like, but also prepare them so that when we had an opening in the organization, we had a number of candidates that were potential individuals that could fill that role. And that really lessened our time to fill those particular roles. We also can engage alumni, ex-employees, or ex-members for future hiring or future membership. We want to recruit by growing our network. So some of the things that would be best practices here are making sure that you have a job board registration process to get some preliminary information. Name and email really is all you need to start building that relationship with individuals. I mentioned an email, a list of emails that would go out automated to someone, but you could also create a newsletter for prospective employees on a periodic basis to, again, nurture that relationship and grow that rapport with that individual. Keep your website up to date. Post regularly on social media. Use LinkedIn to attract young professionals. A lot of people use LinkedIn to look for jobs and connect with potential employers. So you can connect with people one-on-one, but you can also connect by joining some of the groups and establish yourself or your organization as a subject matter expert by participating in discussion, sharing articles, and things of value to your prospective employee. Finally, you could cross-market your organization at local events, not just job hiring events, but events where you show a presence in the community. Think back to the slides on the millennials and the Gen Z and the Generation Alpha. They're all focused on service. They want to make an impact in the community. They want to make a difference. And so your organization participating in philanthropic events out in the community is a good way to build visibility and attract that possible employee. Networking is not just about connecting people. It's about connecting people, people with ideas, and people with opportunities. This may or may not be in your organization, but being a valuable resource goes a long way to helping build that relationship. We want to capture those talent leads and nurture this, whether we're trying to grow an association or an organization. You should have a careers page on your company website. You can add job alerts that people can sign up for when job openings happen. This is a great way to not only capture their email information, but push out those job openings to them regularly so that you can fill those jobs more quickly. You can also use chat bots and auto messaging. This is a huge trend in social media and using that artificial intelligence to help communicate with your end user. The benefit for this, for me as an entrepreneur, when someone sends an application or messages me on one of my sites, I can have populated messages that they get back. So in essence, they're making a connection with me, even though I'm not responding immediately. Remember that a lot of the young people have their phones with them 24/7. So they're expecting a response like pretty quick. And if you are not able to give that response that quickly, auto messaging can be a huge benefit for you. In terms of professional associations and also nonprofits, auto messaging can be great to let us know about opportunities, remind about important things happening, like the ABWA social tonight is a great networking. Sending out an auto message to your mailing list or a text message to those individuals is a great way to communicate with them. Focus on nurturing, but eventually converting them to new employees. Again, it's about establishing relationships. Providing visibility through email newsletters or other communication. Building your brand with great content. Your organization shouldn't just be about sending job leads out or sending out sales messages, because that's very, that can be perceived as very negative by your end user. We want to add things of value. So limiting the amount of sales messages or propaganda and providing information and things of value are more important. Tell people what you're looking for in a great employee. It doesn't have to be a secret. If you don't hire someone because they're lacking experience and the person you selected had 3 years of experience more than this individual, or they had a skill set that the employee you didn't hire didn't have, tell that person that you didn't hire, hey, the candidate we selected has this specialty certificate that you didn't have and a couple more years of experience. We would love to have you apply again for a future role. I would recommend that you go out and try to obtain these certifications and this experience and come back and see us. People will respect that honesty and that candor that you provide them. Build connections with passive job seekers. There are tons of people out there that are passive job seekers, meaning that they are gainfully employed and they're not actively looking for a new job, but if the right opportunity came around, they're out. They're going to come and join that opportunity. So don't be afraid to share information with people who are casually looking, just trying to see what the landscape is, because you never know when you might be able to get them on your side. This is especially important if you have a job that the talent pool is very small and there's not a lot of qualified applicants, because in that case, the qualified applicants are most likely employed already. You don't necessarily want the ones that are not employed because they're not employed for a reason. You want the individuals that are gainfully employed because those are the best ones. Nurture those relationships with the rejected candidates. Again, feel free to share information, invite them to internships or invite them to training opportunities or recommend where they can go to get the training that they need. Keep in mind that over 60% of job seekers have had a negative candidate experience, and 72% of those decided to tell people about it. So when they decide to tell someone about that negative experience, that's bad press for you. And if you think back to a bad experience that you had, maybe it was a customer service experience, not necessarily looking for a job. How many people did you tell if you had a bad experience? Now, think about a good experience that you had. Did you tell the same number of people? Most people are going to answer no. We're more likely to vocalize when we are dissatisfied, and we don't want that bad press for our organization. So we want to encourage people to nurture and have a good experience from start to finish. Now, what does this look like if you're looking for volunteers for a nonprofit, or you're looking for members in an association? Having a good experience from the time they go on your website to maybe they text message or emailed someone or gave someone a phone call to did someone welcome them at the meeting or at the program? What was the follow-up experience like? Was it pushy sales, like you have to volunteer for us, we really need you? Or was it asking them and taking time to find out about them and what they wanted to get out of this situation? 83% of candidates emphasize that negative experience can hurt their perceptions of an employer. Think about reviews. There's reviews for everything, and there's reviews online for employers. If you have if you work for a company that has a reasonable amount of employees, you probably have a review on sites like Glassdoor, where people give feedback about their employment experience. But think about reviews when you go to buy a product. You look at the reviews, right? You look at the reviews on Amazon. Do you know the people that wrote the reviews? No, you don't. But do you trust that what the review says is pretty accurate, right? You make a purchase decision. The same thing happens